All right, so we're talking about video game to TV show adaptations, TV show to video game adaptations. Which way do you say that? It's one of those ways. But basically, there's two different types in my mind, and I want to talk about which one I think is better. I guess it's three types. There's three. I'm going to throw in the other one later, and I don't like it. At least not the way this one did it. All right, so you got the two different sides to me. You have beat for beat, story for story, matching up for the most part. And the example of that has been done really well most recently in my mind is The Last of Us. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have setting is similar but different, like the world, the set dressing, the pieces are there, but this is a whole original story. And that's the Fallout TV show. Then somewhere in the gosh dang middle is Halo. Okay, let's get into this. All right, I was not going to talk about Halo at all, but it popped into my mind, and we'll get to that in a little bit later. So, The Last of Us came out first. I think Halo came out before all of these, but so Last of Us came out before Fallout did. So, The Last of Us, I would consider it to be one that's like, for the most part, there's some differences here and there, but like for the most part, like if you played the game and then watched the TV show, like you knew what was going to happen. It was just looking at how they decided to portray it, which was cool. Like that's a whole way of doing storytelling that when you're taking from something else and putting into another form of media and entertainment, that is really cool. And you can kind of see how they pull it off, and they did a good job. Like I saw that and was like, this is it, can't be topped. Like this is how you make video game TV show adaptations. And I was like, great. Like as a show, it was so good, and then done so well. Like, and I'm not taking anything from it. I mean that 100%. So I was like, that's the gold standard now. All video games that become TV shows, you gotta be on this level. And then I remember hearing about the Fallout TV show, and I was like, man, I'm not confident this is going to be good. And I don't even really remember watching trailers. For some reason, I was just kind of like, I don't think it's going to be that good. Watched the first episode and I was like, yo, what is this? Then, after watching that whole series, I have to say, after not the whole series, but the whole first season, I was like, man, I got to give it to Fallout. I remember talking to some friends about it and I was like, yeah, I think Fallout's better. And they were like, wait, what? Really? Again, not saying anything. I'm not knocking down. I'm not knocking the bar down for what The Last of Us did. But Fallout for me was just like, dang, that was so. But really what it showed me was I think I prefer I just like what they did. It was so creative. It was like they went their own direction. All the ingredients of Fallout, it felt like the world of Fallout to me. Like it was a lot of things that were, oh yeah, I remember some of this stuff in Fallout games. And maybe somebody who I've only played, I know Fallout lore, so I am very familiar with Fallout lore, but I've only played the Fallout 4. So, I'm not claiming to be some hardcore Fallout fan here, like in terms of the games, but I do know the lore. So I was like, to a degree. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I've played enough Fallout and seen enough like New Vegas and people playing, Fallout 3, different Fallout medias that I understand this. I understand the storyline of, Fallout. So I was like, yo, I feel like they did a good job of taking like it's almost like the I like to say the kid with the play box or like a sandbox. You have all these toys, and those toys are the same toys all the time. But if a kid comes to play with them one day, this toy is this guy, and this is the bad guy. But then maybe another day, same toys, so they're technically the same. The same, they are the same toys, but you bring them now and they're different characters. Maybe they switch or something's different, but it's the same toys. So I've always liked that reimagining of stuff. And this isn't really even necessarily a reimagining. It's just something different. It's like a different time frame. It's like a different moment in this world, because the way the world of Fallout lends itself so well to this, because there's so many different vaults and so many different experiments and things that were happening in the world, and so many different locations that the story takes place in, that it's very easy for them to kind of tell different self-contained stories within this world and still get the feeling of Fallout. So I just really love the way they did that. So just kudos, good job. And to me, that's almost the safest way to go, the safer way to go, because it's like you can't, as long as you get the feeling, the setting, the intent of the world correct, and it feels like the game, like, oh yeah, people will like, they aren't really gonna come for you like that because you aren't messing up something that already exists. It's like, okay, yeah, you took your own spin on it, but you know, you did a good job of making me feel like this is like another game of Fallout. You know, it's just Fallout 5 or whatever. So it's like, okay, yeah, I like that. So that to me is like, if you can, assuming you jumped the hurdle of doing a good job of making the world setting good, not to say that that's easy. Assuming you do that, you kind of have the freedom to play in that sandbox and play it with the sandbox and in the toy box, however you want to. And then, you know, you just tell a good story and you're good. I say that like it's so easy. But then you have the beat for beat, character for character remake in a sense. Like we're redoing it, but it's the same storyline. And you're pretty much hitting all the same story beats. You're just expanding on it in a more detailed way than you can with the video game, you know, to some degree. Which, you know, the benefit of the TV show, you know, you can have more engagement with the characters, see some different sides of the story. You can have a little bit more freedom to do some things that may be harder to pull off in the video game for technical reasons. And to me, that's like where, you know, Fallout, to me, that's like I would say maybe harder because you got to nail it. It's like people like, man, that's not Joe. Man, that's not Ellie. You know, he's like, it's not, I said Joe, Joel. Like, these aren't those characters. Like, that's not a clicker. That's not, you know, it's like different pieces. That's like, man, that's not the world. That's not the character. Like, you didn't nail it. And so there's some people who may have felt like that. I looked at it and I was like, dang, this is definitely a different like, this is their adaptation of it. But dang, that felt like Fallout, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, no, that felt like The Last of Us. That's dope. So stuff like that, you know, it's like really cool. So if you can pull that off and do a good job and still have the freedom to kind of do your own thing, to a degree, like there's some differences, but it's not like that many. It's just kind of like how the characters sit, and a lot of that's probably on the actors too, but like how they decide to say certain things, you know, it's not like you don't want to copy it to the letter, but I mean, it was pretty close to beat for beat. I've said that several times over and over again, but you get the point I'm trying to get to. They did a good job, phenomenal, but I'm just realizing preference wise, I think I prefer the other way. As cool as it is to see some of your favorite characters redone in live action, there's a risk. And when you flop on that, to me, that's where you get Halo. And I put Halo in the middle because they try to do both. And I didn't like that. Because then a lot of times I was like trying to figure out, what am I watching? Is this it was never really clear to me at what point in Master Chief's life is this. At first I went to it thinking, oh, this is a younger Master Chief, which it is. But it's like, this is, you know, Halo CE, you know, this is him becoming Master Chief. This is an origin story. And it seemed like it was to a point. And then then he started getting over into territory where I was like, wait, this is now video game timeline, right? Because he has Cortana now. And then it's like, wait a second, why is his mask off the whole show? Wait a second. Wait, at what point? I'm waiting for like that thing to happen that turns him into Master Chief of the video games. And that moment never truly happened. And then that's when I started realizing, oh, they just decided that they're going to take the lore and just twist it how they want it twisted. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but that's one of those where it's like, when it comes to video games and pre-existing universes like that, I'm like, I don't know if I would do that. That's kind of the concern I have with the upcoming, at some point, supposedly Mass Effect TV show. And it's like, if they go the Last of Us route, how are you going to do that? Because Last of Us Joel was a defined character. You know what I mean? Shepard is not. It's not, you know, Shepard has so many different ways you can go with it. And Master Chief was an example to me of like, Master Chief has a character to a degree, but he's kind of, it's interesting. You're trying to add humanism to a character who's very stoic, and I think that's what this was kind of went. I'm not gonna go into the whole story breakdown on Halo because I don't really want to. All that being said, I just didn't prefer that way. So I feel like it's better to, now that you can't mix up the characters. I'm not saying you can never do that. I just think that that's probably the riskiest way of going about it, because if you do it and it doesn't land, now you not only did you make people like mad because you pooped on the lore, but you also didn't do a good job with storytelling. And there were aspects of the Halo show where I was like, that was cool. Like, oh, okay, they did some first person view stuff. That felt like a video game. Oh, I heard similar sounds with like the armor recharge sound. Oh, that sounded like the game. Oh, he came out with the needlers. All right, that's cool. Moments. And I watched season 1 and season 2, so I was invested because I was gonna keep watching this thing out. And I don't even care about the fact that some of the characters were like, it's stuff that didn't necessarily matter, because like certain characters would be, they'll switch them up a little bit, and maybe switch some of the relationships up. Little stuff like that. Okay, I get it. Not a big deal. But it was one of those things where it's like you changed Master Chief's character up so much where it's like, okay, what are we doing? And then you added so many things into it that were not there. That's like, all right, come on now. So that kind of leads me into a whole nother form of storytelling where when you do adaptations where it's more like this is inspired by versus this is what it is. This is off topic, but Three Body Problem, the book, maybe I'll do a video on that, but Three Body Problem, the book versus Three Body Problem, the TV show, very similar in that way. Where it's like the TV show is more so inspired. I mean, there's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences. They changed that up a lot. There's certain things that happen, certain key moments that are the same, but then the way to get there, and some characters that were non-existent in the book appear in the TV show and things like that. So, and I wasn't mad at that, but again, I'm not like a hardcore Three Body Problem fan. So maybe people who were hardcore fans of the book didn't like that. But then being someone who's like a Halo fan, like, oh yeah, Halo fan, there's so much Halo lore. Halo's been around for so long. There's so many different, ways Halo has been portrayed. And I guess, again, I'm not mad that they changed up the lore. And I'm not mad about this at all. It's just a game TV show. But it was more of if you do that and go that route and it doesn't land, I think that's where like you take the biggest L's. But all that being said, I think my favorite way of doing it is when you just are in the universe, you play in the universe, but it's not using any of the video game characters per se. And if you use them, maybe they come in sparingly, but it's like about something completely different, because now you give yourself the freedom to create and do your own thing. You're not locked in having to make sure you portray something as good, if not better, than the video game did it. Because if you don't do it as good as the game did it, then it's like, what are you doing? So you have that issue. And then if you decide to change stuff and then you don't nail the story or don't stay true to the characters, it's like, you start getting to weird territory there. But yeah, let me know some of your favorite video game to TV show adaptations and which ones you think are the best. Do you disagree with my thought process? That's cool. Let me know in the comments below and what your take is on this and what your favorite type of adaptation is. But that's all I got for this one. Until next time, peace.